You just did did I read this? You did a podcast too this week. Or probably a while ago.
I did a couple. Mark Mayron.
Yeah.
Did they air that already?
I think it just went up this week. I'm not positive. I'd have to. Well, you know.
What is he, your competition?
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it works the other way around.
Oh.
He's got a slightly. It's a good way to promote my podcast when a guest is coming on. Well, he had years of building an audience as a comedian. I didn't have that advantage.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have that. I had to build.
That's right. He's been doing them for a long time.
Yeah. So.
Tony.
This is this is not yours. This is Brooks.
Tony, you're not going to be in there making phone calls, are you?
He's going to be on this podcast one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
I did once.
Always trying to shove into my career.
Crowbar his way into your career. Actually, I did run into him on the subway once, and we were both exiting the door, and I chatted for a second. And I think that's about as long as I had, because he was like, and he was probably in a play. And, you have to really kind of be in your zone. I know from being married to an actor myself for a while. And how that was,
Not still?
No. It's we're friends.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going there. She's actually in a series right now in Los Angeles, and I'm going to go taking the kids.
Oh, you have kids?
See. Well, we have one, and then he has a half set. But I'm bringing both of them to see her because they have the week off for school next week, and so I'm bringing them over to Los Angeles. She'll be back in April, but it's still an opportunity for them to see their mom. So, but it's been great having my kid with me full time. I'm really loving that.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
How old is he?
He's turning 15 in a couple months. Yeah. You have two
girls.
Two girls, right?
30 and 25.
Wow. How does that feel?
They're so great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. This is the time that's a reward. It's not easier. Well, of course, it is easier in one respect.
Right.
Both of them are pretty good. But as they get older, you're surprised to see how much more attention you have to pay.
Mm.
I mean, our parents didn't. I don't know if you should, but it's, it's the way of the world now. You've got to be all child-centered. And
yeah, it is true. One of your daughters, at least, I guess I haven't watched all of this web series.
Sophie. Sophie is on it.
Sophie's on it, right?
Yes.
She's, I assume, the younger of the two. But why do I assume that?
She's the younger of the two. She's 25.
Okay.
And she's a horse person.
She's
a
what?
Horse whisperer.
Oh, okay. Right.
And she lives there in that house that's in the show, and she has 6 horses. And
oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
6?
6.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's got to be a full-time thing.
And she also works at a farm down the road. She milks the cows, a dairy farm, where her fiance, she's getting married in September. Her fiance works as the assistant manager.
I see.
It's called the Gray Barn, and it's a fantastic dairy barn.
Well, it's nice to hear that one can still make have a. I don't know if it's a career, but maybe it's a career. It sounds like it is. On a farm. I mean, and not grow up, in farm family either.
Right.
Clearly, her parents are not in the farming industry. So.
Well, yeah, and we have nothing really to do with horses except that I drove her to horse lessons her whole childhood.
Right.
But Devin, her fiance, who we love, who's from the vineyard, wasn't even involved in horses before he met her.
Oh.
And he went off to school to become a farrier, which is a horseshoer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And he came back and is like the only farrier on the island. So he was doing really well,
Yeah, he's got a monopoly on the thing. Yeah.
And the job on at the Gray Barn doesn't pay nearly as much as shoeing one horse does.
Yeah.
But he loves it so much that he does them both.
What did they go to, like the Waldorf schools, or
No.
do they go? Because my kid went for a while, and it seems like you could, end up doing something similarly in that kind of with that kind of pedagogy, because it's all so hands-on, and there's an emphasis on that type of
agricultural
stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. So, but
I mean, Sophie would have liked the Waldorf school because then they wouldn't have made her read, right? In fact, you're not
Not until they're in
allowed
their
to read.
20s.
What?
I think, well, at a certain point, no,
you're not
you
allowed
do,
to
you
read,
do.
and she hated to read. In fact,
Oh.
the way she compensated was she had a friend who'd sit next to her and hold the book, and they'd have a reading circle, and when it came time for Sophie to read out loud, the friend would bring her mouth behind the book and tell Sophie what it said.
Right.
So she would have loved Waldorf.
Yeah.
They just find their way. However,
It's true. It's true.
we
I
have
grew up
so little to do with anything that our girls have.
It begins to feel that
taken
way.
on.
It begins to feel that way, right?
It is that way. I mean, they actually both happen to be adopted, so maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's why. But no, I don't think so. I think
Nurture.
it's also you've got they come fully loaded.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
born with a whole bunch of stuff that we don't really affect in any way.
Yeah, and I grew up I was lucky too because I grew up in the 70s and into the 80s, and I went to a summer camp just upstate New York where we it was on a farm. So I had that experience and loved it then, and glad I had glad I did it, and rode horses too. And so I have all that, none, I don't know. There's no anxiety or fear of any animal. I mean, it's like, and I have a love for animals.
Yeah.
I love animals.
Well, that's where Sophie comes by it.
Right,
She just
okay.
has always
Right.
liked animals more
Yeah.
than people.
It's pretty understandable. I mean,
Well,
it's
then you should be doing a podcast with animals.
No, I love people too, though. That's the difference.
Yeah, that is
and-
different.
Yeah, no, I do, and I love. It turns out I really do like engaging, and that's why this has been so gratifying. And I never saw it coming. But then I get to meet fascinating people like yourself.
Oh, fascinating.
I think so.
Oh, well,
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's funny, when you asked me to do this, I
Yeah.
keyed in
Uh-huh.
to listen to some.
Oh.
And Griffin Dunne is a friend, so I listened to Griffin.
Oh, good.
And I could not turn it off. And I was like, it seemed like it went on for an hour and a half or something.
I
It
wanted
wasn't
it
that
to.
I hated it or anything. I just
was
had to
long.
move on, and I was
Sure.
just going to peek in for 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
I could not turn this thing off. So I listened to Griffin for
Oh, good.
a long time.
Yeah, and I'm an enormous fan also of his work and just his whole. I don't know his commitment to the kind of work he's done over the years. I know he's directed at least 2 films that you've been in, or directed one and acted with you in another, and which we can get to.
He's got an incredible mind, really.
Brilliant guy, right?
Yeah,
well, look at
he
his
is.
family.
Yeah.
Some of that is nature and nurture, but
Yeah.
he did you see the documentary?
Oh,
that he-
yes.
Isn't
I
it was
loved the
beautiful?
Oh, it was so beautiful.
Very moving. I thought I was very moved by
I
it.
felt so too, and of course, I've met the whole family.
Oh, okay.
Because Griffin and I went out for like years,
Oh, okay.
and I knew his mother really well, and I knew Nick, and I've met Joan, and I met John, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's an incredible family.
Joan Didion. We're referring to John, who's Griffin Dunne's aunt, and who he made a documentary about 2 years ago. I think it was I saw it at the New York Film Festival. I think it was 2 years ago, but it might have been last year. Who knows? I
Yeah,
can't
I don't
keep
remember
track of
when
these
I
things.
saw it, but it could have been 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it was
Fantastic.
It was an amazing. You kind of, part of the thing is we know the '70s films, and it's like for the people that listen to my podcast, there's a lot of touchstone type of films that obviously, and filmmakers and actors that came out of the '70s in particular. So that holds a very important, place in a lot of the young filmmakers and people doing now even. So as it did in mine, I grew up when I was growing up in the same that period I mentioned. We didn't have like a children's movie industry. I mean, there was the occasional Disney movie, but there wasn't.
Wow.
So we went to see movies that our parents went to. I mean,
Right.
and we
Yeah.
went. You saw. I mean, hopefully there was a kind of like a Pink Panther movie, or a James,
Yeah.
Bond type
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
entertaining movies
Yeah.
for the kids. But by and large, I grew up seeing a lot of relatively mature movies. So I feel like, again, lucky for that. I don't know what I would have done if there were all these Pixar.
Well, and also you kind
you
of
hold that
grew
just
up
a
with
tad
our
closer?
music too. I mean, right?
Hold it.
Doesn't everybody that's
Hold the mic
younger-
just a little this way, though. Perfect. Say that again about
Doesn't
music?
everybody who Is it too loud now?
No, it's okay.
Everybody who's your age also listen to our music.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I'm so glad, because the 70s is the only time I really had a career. So I'm glad the 70s was so important.
I mean, you are definitely a product of a generation of women and actors who I just refer to men and women as actors, but that were definitely you definitely would have felt that this is way before there was some sort of I guess more active push against what's happened to a lot of women once they hit a certain point, a certain age, right, in the industry. I assume that's what you mean, and that you came up in a time where, as soon as you hit a certain point, it was much harder, significantly harder to find this type of roles that you wanted.
Oh, that, yeah.
Right? And that doesn't have to be the focus of what we're talking about.
No,
but
yes,
you made a reference to when you had a
Yeah.
career, and I just think, I see you in stuff today, even now, but I imagine that it's been frustrating.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. It was heartbreaking, actually,
Okay.
because I was an actor since I was 6 years old. So
I didn't know that.
my father had a summer theater, and I used to be in all of his plays, as did my sister. We grew up in the theater. So when I sort of lost my identity as an actress, it was hard. And I was also then a mother, so that's even harder.
Yeah.
But it sort of seemed like it was kind of like, how could you be an actress and a mother? And I don't know. It's you have to be so self-involved and ambitious to make it work in your 40s and 50s as an actress, that I just I guess that sounds like I'm insulting people who actually made it work. Obviously, certain people kept going because they're just extraordinary.
I don't know. I wouldn't have the. I don't know what the formula is. Because I can only say I think now it might be for female actors coming up now. I think it is a little bit better, because I think there really was an effort on where a lot of actors decided to, say it's just unfair, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, certainly
and make
now,
more roles for women that are
now
my age.
women are starting to, but it's
But
younger
television.
women, really. But I mean, I meant the ones that are classically great, like Meryl Streep
Sure.
and Glenda Jackson, and my favorite, just saw her in The Wife, Glenn Close.
And I, you know what? And I saw her at the Public Theater.
I did too.
Did you
the
go to that?
Mother of the Maid.
Did you go to that?
I
Oh my
love
God,
that.
Was that I have to. I talked about it on the. I think on the show. I was blown away.
I was too. I sobbed.
I sobbed.
Yeah.
I'll just say it. I cried. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
I know that was really moving. I didn't expect anything like that. I was very excited for the opportunity to see her finally on stage.
Yeah.
But I did not realize. Oh,
She
I
was
see
amazing.
why she's considered
She was amazing. And the girl, Grace Van Patten, was
Oh my God,
amazing.
she was
Now I
terrific.
want her to be in my play.
Okay.
I want her to be the lead in my play.
Let's make that happen.
I've
Grace.
given her the script. We'll see. But
Okay.
she's fantastic, too. I just love that whole evening. Everyone was great in it, and the story was great.
Let's not bury the lead then. I know you can't talk about something that sounds like it's still you're still working on.
Oh, I can talk about it.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, let's talk about that too. I don't want to, and then we
Yeah.
can maybe talk about a little bit about stuff from the past too, but and even very recent past, because I had Melanie Mayron on the podcast.
Yes.
It was over the phone, so it doesn't have quite the same sonic, level of the one, let's say, with Griffin. But I was such a fan of hers also, and just how unique and crazy
Melanie
that
is so great.
Yeah.
I love Melanie. She's so sweet and she's so talented. And I know I went to see Girlfriends recently downtown. There was a kind of an event where Rachel Weisz and big important critic guy brought Girlfriends down to talk about it. And Melanie was just, everybody in the audience said they were in love with Melanie in that movie.
Oh, right, of course, that's a classic. That was
Claudia Weil.
Oh, that's who directed it.
Yeah.
Claudia Walsh. She did. It was how much? She hasn't done a lot, right?
Well, she's been doing plays,
Oh,
and
she does
she
plays
teaches,
as well
and
happen,
she's
right. Yeah.
Claudia's a friend also.
Okay, because she's like one of those people I just want to seek out and talk to. You know?
Claudia?
Yeah. Tell me about this play, because
Okay.
yeah.
I think I wrote it about, I started thinking about it 2.5 years ago. And it was when Trump was running, and he hadn't actually gotten nominated, but he was in the debating stage and everything, and people were just saying, oh my God, what a joke, what a joke. I kept thinking, this isn't funny, because when somebody is that crazy and talks a different language and does all of that stuff, people who are basically more ethical or intelligent or something don't know how to deal with it. So I kept thinking, he's going to win.
Really?
Yeah. And then when he did, I started thinking, well, this could really be bad where it leads. So anyway.
What were the people around you that are in your, life, in your immediate life and circle, saying when you would say that?
Oh, everybody thought when I said that he's going to be nominated and then elected, people didn't believe me. I had a standing argument with this man that I used to take a walk with in California, a hike every day, and he was just saying, no way. We have too many safeguards against this. Anyway, so I was right.
Gloating now.
But anyway, I hope I'm not right about the next part, which is that this play takes place in 2025, and it's now become a totalitarian regime, full-blown, awful public assassination. I mean, public executions, just really bad. But it's really a play about a family within it, where the daughter of these actually the granddaughter of this older couple has run away and is living on the street with her lover, a girl, and the girl is certifiably crazy, and the parents know it, and it's terrifying that this girl has run off with her, and they're on the street, and she comes back at the opening of the play.
So it's a musical.
Yeah, it's a musical. The play is called Delusion by Proxy, and that's what the granddaughter is suffering from. She's been contaminated by this other woman's insanity. And that summer I heard somebody say about what was going on in the government, somebody very in the know, a psychiatrist who had written books about it. He said, that's delusion by proxy. So I thought, okay, that's what the title of this play will be. And it just ties in that way, kind of.
Does the girlfriend who is sick, is she in the play as well?
Oh yeah, she comes in.
Because I was thinking, she in a way symbol or represents what's going on.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
It's right.
Yep, she comes in and it's very scary, and the end is very upsetting and scary, and it's not a happy play, but it's funny. Well, it's a black comedy,
right?
So, and people seem to. I've done a workshop. Judith Ivey directed it, I've done 2 readings to great success. And now I'm ready to do a production. I want to do one in a regional theater this summer. So that's my hope. And then I have a producer in New York, Fred Zolo, committed to sort of shepherding it through to a production in New York. So I'm excited, but I know that it takes forever. And everyone says no matter what. I mean, this play is very timely.
Right, very relevant, right?
Very good. I mean, everybody says that. And yet people don't want to. And it's 5 characters, 1 set.
So
but people say
very
no
efficient.
because it's easier to say no.
Right. I think you're right. Let's do something that's already a proven, product, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of let's redo something or somebody. And you're not known as a playwright yet. That's going to change. So is this your first play?
Yes,
it is your first play.
I've written before.
And have you written a role for yourself in it?
No.
Okay, interesting. No. And you're not directing, obviously. So,
no.
So you're really just going to now, being this theater, I know is the writer's medium,
right?
Well, so is TV. They say, right? So I guess
what is it?
Is it, or do you think
TV,
maybe it's the actors?
TV is
Definitely the writers, because they're the producers, right?
Plays are more everybody's medium. I mean,
maybe
it's
so. Maybe it's the
great.
most democratic of
I
all.
think it is, because it's certainly more the actor's medium than movies or TV are.
Yeah.
It's also more the director's medium than movies or TV are, unless you're the lead director on a TV series or something.
Or or you're one of the exclusive auteur type of directors out there.
Exactly.
Like, name a director name above the title. That
Amy Palladino and Dan Palladino, for example, who are doing Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, I've heard of that. Now that's a TV show.
Yes.
Wow, that won a couple of awards. I'm looking right now. Now that I'm sitting here, I'm seeing that's an Emmy? Or is that the Oscar?
Those are the SAG Awards. Oh,
No,
that's
that one.
an Emmy.
That's
yes,
an Emmy.
that's
That is an Emmy, right? I'm not.
Then that's a Golden Globe.
Which just. Yeah.
One of those. Two more.
I don't want to be
of these
saying
Emmys.
this, having this conversation with Tony's walking by, because I feel kind of like we're not talking about your career. But that was an Emmy. We should mention that was an Emmy. It just happened about a week ago, where I was sitting there going, she's never going to do the podcast now. They've just, you think every time, his career just keeps hitting a new.
Yeah, but
it's crazy.
there's no reason that
And
would have to affect my.
No, I know, of course not. No, but still, no, I was kidding. Of course,
Yeah.
I knew you were going to do the podcast. But no, I've seen it. I love just that it's in New York and that it's about a time when I was barely alive. But I was born in '63, so it was like it has a nostalgic kind of attraction to me.
And it's an escape.
For sure.
Great escape thing, and it has a heroic woman who's got to be heard.
There you go.
At the center.
That's
of
right.
It.
Well, if you're listening and this is and you can pull strings. I mean, this is you'll just you have this. You can send the play to somebody who's might be
sure. Please, I'd love to. I'm pretty encouraged about it. I think it's going to happen. But it's just that I'm doing everything. I don't have an agent. I don't have a manager. I don't have really any credibility whatsoever.
I don't know, but I will say, who could be a better advocate for you? And this is a passion. This is obviously a passion project.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's something that you feel is as important to your life and career as anything you've ever done before.
Absolutely. And also, I just love writing. That's what I've finally realized is that that's what gives me the greatest joy. I'm a painter, too. Mm-hmm. Those are all my paintings. I have paintings all over the house, you could see, but...
The one in the I don't want to mention I was in the bedroom, but I used the washroom, but I was also there's one of you in the bedroom that I just glanced as I quickly...
Over the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mine.
That's
yours.
Yours.
Tony and my wedding.
Yeah, oh, wow. Beautiful stuff.
And I love painting too. But writing, there's something about writing.
Well, and some of these are inspired by the work you've done.
They're all Days of Heaven.
That's all Days of Heaven.
Days of Heaven wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I got to ask you about Days of Heaven. Terrence Malick.
Yeah.
That was his first real.
Well, Badlands was his first.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Yeah, and it was a great movie.
Nah, never.
Badlands
nobody
was
watches
good.
that.
I loved Badlands.
Nobody was in it. That's
I
true.
just
no,
read
Badlands
this.
was before. I don't know what I was thinking, but good.
I was just reading this memoir, I guess, of Jake Brackman.
Who's that?
Who was one of the producers of Days of Heaven and was a pal of Terry's from Harvard, and he's a kind of a writer. He's been known. He's also written songs with Carly Simon. He's
Renaissance man.
And he was talking about how Terry in college. Terry didn't study filmmaking, and when he made Badlands, he literally had absolutely no idea how to do it, and figured it out as he was going.
Nuts.
I mean, I was just blown away reading this. I had no idea. I assumed that he was a, student of movies forever and everything. Not at all.
It would have seemed so, looking at it, right? That it was just a master.
I mean, maybe he's seen a million movies and he's a student of theater and of movies in that sense, but he literally had never shot anything.
So what was his
Days of Heaven was the second thing, and it was...
Yeah. 78, right? So I guess you were shooting in probably 76, 77? What was his style? I know my listeners would
What was
wanna
his
hear,
style?
well, as a director. I mean, was he more just interested in the look of it, or did he really care about
I would say he
your
cared
reading?
about everything, but he
Okay.
wasn't. He didn't speak actors' lingo,
Right.
so mostly he would just threaten us.
Oh God. If
He'd say, to Sam Shepard, he said, "You promised me you'd be good in this."
Oh my God. Wow.
But it was funny because Terry was such a character and so much not like anyone had ever worked with before.
Yeah.
And he was so brilliant. And I don't know why, but I just sort of knew, well, there was a whole thing. I auditioned for this thing for maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't allowed to be told the name of the movie. This was all that time of auteur directors being paranoid about their stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'd finally weasel the name of the movie out of them, and then I'd forget it by the time I got home in time to tell anyone. And they wouldn't let you read the whole script. And in fact, I don't think they let us read any of the script for the auditions.
Was there a script? No,
Oh,
I'm
there
kidding.
was
There
an
was a lot of talk.
amazing.
Yeah, it was. No, I
Sort
kid.
of, no.
He was still. It was sometime later where it became much more minimalist, but
Where it became what?
he became very minimalist in his.
Well, yes, and
But-
in that movie, he certainly cut the dialogue went away.
Okay.
But when it was written originally, I used to say it was like a Thomas Hardy novel, and it became something like that too because it was so beautiful and so picking up on all the details of nature and all that stuff. But actors were not his
Strong suit.
favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he would just, tell us how to do it. Sometimes he'd just say, "Now stick your chin out, Brooke." And I'd say, "And why am I? Just stick it out,
Yeah. You had, you were doing, because you had been in theater. You come from a theater background. Were you? And you were. I don't know if you were. Did you have technique? Did you grow up with Did you take theater class? Did you?
Yes, I was a student of Lee Strasberg.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's as much technique as you can get, right? I mean, it's
Well,
all about
that's
the
the method,
Method
sure.
technique,
But
yeah.
there's, all kinds of different
Stanislavski.
ways to skin the cat, and I've learned a lot more since then. But
Sure.
I hadn't done I did a TV show, East Side, West Side, when I was 14, just a guest spot. Then I did a series when I was 16 called OK Crackerby. Then I did
Sounds like a comedy.
yeah, it was with Burl Ives.
Oh my gosh.
And then I did a very low budget horror film. And then I did some TV,
Mm-hmm.
Daughters of Joshua McKay. Anyway, I did a lot of stuff in Hollywood, and then I did Days of Heaven. So my experience in filmmaking was limited, but I'd certainly been in front of a camera a lot.
Yeah.
But this was a whole different experience. We waited until magic hour every day to shoot.
Right.
If it was snowing and we were supposed to be in the middle of July planting, Terry would say, "I don't care. Let's shoot the scene in the snow." There is a scene in the snow with me and Richard sort of leaning up against a hay bale. He hated the whole idea of script supervisors and continuity. He just thought it was just
A waste.
a waste of time and that it had nothing to do with the art. And so he would just, to prove it, he'd put a different painting behind my head for a different shot in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
He was a iconoclast and didn't really have that much awareness of movies, but he did his own.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Right.
it his way.
Right. Yeah, I'm not trying to get you to talk about if he was a bully or anything. I'm just.
Oh, no, he wasn't a bully. He was so funny, and we all loved him.
Oh, okay.
He was really funny. He just, to get what he wanted, he'd sometimes just resort to the lowest. He'd say to Linda, "I'll shoot you if you don't do this right."
This is Linda Maz.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like one of those child actors who, I don't know. She's on so few things, but they were all these incredibly iconic films.
Well, she had that voice, and she
just
had
had something about it, like Jodie Foster had. But right?
Yeah, but she
in her
wasn't.
case,
She wasn't really an actress until
s-
Terry or the casting person found her. She was just a kid. I think she was actually going to Quintana School for Young Professionals, which I went to in my last year in high school. But I don't think it was because she was working. I think it was just because it was a school that anybody could get into. But that's how they found her, was I guess they put a sign up at the school about, I think, something like that. Anyway,
yeah,
she was a character.
yeah. It's in her case, it seems like she made I shouldn't speak about it. I don't know, but it seems like she made a conscious choice, like that she was just going to not be an actor at a certain point, because she kind of ducked out relatively young. It seems. I don't know.
Well, yeah, she was older than she looked in that show, but
Okay.
but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you make a choice to be an actor, how easily can you achieve it? I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah, and it could just be like one really powerfully negative experience on a set, or and it could just
Yeah, or she may have been trying to get a million things after that and just
Right.
couldn't. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Right.
But it's certainly, it's people come to ask Tony or me, some parent will call us to have their kid come and have lunch with us one day to ask us about
Really?
a career in the
It's a
theater.
big favor.
And they don't have any experience and they don't have any idea what it is. They just decided that they'd like to try it. And it's like, oh my God, this is such a hard thing.
Yeah.
Don't you know that everybody wants to try it? I mean, this is not a, coal mining job. This is like the greatest job in the world if you can get it. And it
Right.
pays more than anything else. And I mean, unless you're an actor and you now know that they're not paying anything for guest stars and,
Right. It's right. The advent of a lot of work, right? Because I know with the incredible amount of television, on so many different platforms now, there's just endless amounts of serial work. But I mean, there's still only the same amount of money out there, I assume. So,
Yeah.
means that people aren't going to get paid what they once got.
Yeah.
And the structuring of that has to change in order to, I mean, it can't afford everybody unless you get into this small percentage of highly successful.
Yeah.
shows.
It's like everything. It's
Yeah.
like the divide between the very rich and the very poor. I mean,
Yeah.
there are the actors who get millions, and then there are the actors who get 10 cents.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, you now were coming out of that. Now you were this, right? This was probably the beginning of this incredible period for you as an actor, right?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. You were working between two, Sam Shepard and Richard Gere, which is pretty.
Yeah.
That's impressive. What was that like for a young actor at that point in your life? That you were here between these two incredible forces of? They are both also so. It seems like so. What's the word? Angst-ridden. You know what I mean? The really angsty, cerebral.
It was kind of, for me it was. I had no
Intense.
self-esteem at
No?
all.
Really?
I was a girl.
Yeah.
They were guys. I mean,
Were they?
I grew up in a very male chauvinist atmosphere. Even though my parents were both liberals and everything, it was, guys were more important somehow than girls. Things that young people don't know about. But
Right. That's how entrenched it was. That
Yeah.
It wasn't so much. It wasn't a question like your parents could be liberal, but the wife was still home raising the kids, that kind of thing.
exactly.
Even though they may have been voting for Kennedy,
Exactly. So, and I, as a young girl, I used to think, boys were more important. I don't know. I had no self-esteem. I was an actress, who'd grown up in the theater. So meeting Richard and Sam, who both had awesome confidence, and Sam had already been a big playwright.
Yeah.
I was just completely intimidated, and they,
Did you learn to fake it until you make it? That kind of thing, where you just had.
Oh, did people know I was intimidated? Probably not. Yeah, I guess I faked it, but I was intimidated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of in love with both of them, and it was hard.
Everybody
Yeah.
was in love with
Yeah.
both of them, right? I mean, both very charismatic too, right? But my God, one thing you can say about Terrence Malick, if nothing else, is as beautiful as you were shot. You just were stunning. He shot you like.
Well, thank you. The casting director of that movie wasn't even going to show Terry my film that he'd.
Your reel?
My reel. Well, no, not my reel. The scene he'd shot.
I see.
An
right.
audition. He shot an audition, and
Makes
he wasn't
sense.
going to show it to Terry. And he was flipping past it to get to somebody he thought would be good, and Terry saw it and said, wait, who's she? Anyway, then he didn't end up casting me. He cast Genevieve Bujold, who had a French accent, so it made no sense that she and Richard were going to pretend to be brother and sister. But I don't know, Terry just fell under her spell, and then had dinner with her and Richard, and apparently didn't get along with her. And so he said, no, I don't want to work with her. So that's when I got the part.
I see.
As a second. But Richard pushed for me. I knew Richard before this, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Theater,
girlfriend of his was a friend of mine.
right? He was. I remember the first time I heard of him was. Well, he may have already made like Good Bar or something like that. But he in New York. I was kind of plugged. I knew the plays and even as a kid. I don't know why, but I grew up and
you loved it.
I did. I really did. Yeah. And Richard, you did Bent. You remember that?
Bent, of course. I knew Bob Ackerman who directed
okay.
it, and yeah.
And that's kind of where I first really heard about this young actor,
But that was after Days of Heaven.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know of Days of Heaven when it came out, I guess.
Right.
Because I even though I was old enough, I think by 8, I would have been 15 already. So, anyway. But then you were immediately now a Hollywood big actor like ingenue.
Right.
So, and then I guess without checking my notes, but I guess Invasion of the Body Snatchers would have been next, right?
Yes, it was. Although I think we shot Invasion of the Body Snatchers before Days of Heaven came out.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, because there was a man and woman in a bank too, right?
Oh,
that was a little goofy,
but that
offbeat
was Donald.
thing.
Yeah,
but
that was after Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
You worked with Donald Sutherland on both, right?
Right.
And talk about intimidating. I guess he was also probably.
Donald wanted us to be the new Hepburn Tracy for a minute. That's why he wanted me in this movie, and I kept saying it's not a very good script, Donald. I'm sorry, but we did it, and
yeah. There were a lot of. It was kind of. I haven't seen it in a while. I remember seeing it some time ago because. But I don't.
Paul Mazursky was in it.
Yeah. That's that. But he was cast as he occasionally acted. So he wasn't just a director.
Oh yeah.
So and I'm kind of curious what he was like then.
Oh, he was funny
like
and fun and
right,
crazy, and he was great. And Donald was great too. I mean, I really enjoyed him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not giving you any.
Oh, it's okay. Dirt.
Any interesting
or anecdotes.
anything.
It's okay, because I'm just kind of unless something pops in your head or something that's worth sharing. But I just was watching it again just to catch up, and I saw it when it came out in the movie theater. I remember seeing Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was a remake, of course. It was a science fiction thriller, I guess you could say. I just remember I did not remember the opening sequence, and it's really kind of funny now. It's like where these it starts on another planet. Do you remember this at all?
Right, and the dust comes over.
Yeah, it's like these jellyfish type of shaped things float to Earth from this planet.
And then I'm picking a pod off of a tree, right? Isn't that?
Oh yeah, I think you're right. But it's no.
And I still have that pod, actually, that prop.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Are you allowed to take a prop from each? Is that something you do, or?
I don't usually, but I thought this one would come in handy. And then, Tony did this TV show called Brain Dead, which was really funny, and it was about the Trump administration, but not called that. And it was just crazy. It was about Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets the West Wing.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Wait, what's this?
And I played Senator Vinacek, and I brought in the pod, and we put it on my lapel because it was about these people who were getting taken over by these ants that were taking over their brains and making them more extreme in either direction, left or right, in the political scene.
Where was this?
This was shot in New York. It was
Uh-huh.
really funny. It was
Uh-huh.
the people who made The Good Wife.
Okay.
It was the Kings.
Uh-huh.
It was really a funny show.
And
Tony was amazing in it.
I'm
I had
sure.
a small part, and I wasn't very good. But
you're very self-critical. But when was it?
we
What,
shot
roughly?
it in Brooklyn,
Oh.
and it was 2
like
years
at the,
ago.
where was it? The studios out there? The in
Not
Greenpoint?
the Steiner, which is where Tony
Steiner.
shoots the other. But no,
Okay.
this was another studio that I don't remember the name of.
Okay. And it were a couple of years back, or
Yeah.
was it right before this series? That you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
right before he did the band's visit.
Okay. So you have to tell me if you have a hard
I-
out, because I don't want.
I have to be somewhere at 2, so.
Okay, me too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I don't forget any salient things.
Oh, well, we should plug the All Downhill From Here.
Oh, we're
'Cause
definitely going to talk about that.
Trying to get that back up.
Yeah,
too.
well, since you brought it up, let's talk about it. Because
Yeah.
this is a web series that you made. It's like very much a homespun project, right?
Yeah.
Because you're shooting it, I assume, at home.
Yes,
at
in Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard with your sister and your family. And
Yeah.
was it obviously the two of you just came up with this idea
Yeah,
to
we
shoot
came
this?
up with it and started writing it and shooting it, and we got Joe Farina involved, and he became Hank on the show, and also the person that shot everything and did the sound, and
Uh-huh.
it was very crazy,
Uh-huh.
made on a shoestring. I mean, literally. And then we discovered that post-production wasn't so easy on such a shoestring, because editing, music,
Right.
all publicity,
Sure.
social media.
Sure.
Here we are, we're doing a web series, and neither Lynne or I, my sister or I, know how to promote something.
Right. You know how to act in it, and you know how to kind of create stories, and then make
Right.
them come to life.
Yeah.
But about now, there's this whole other level, which is probably, if not equally important, maybe more important, because
maybe more
getting
important.
people to see it is
Yeah.
the next crazy step. And there's a lot of, it's also, there's just so much stuff out there that
Yeah.
people are watching.
So
which-
I started doing
Yeah.
a blog on Huffington Post, which preceded it.
I see.
And that was one little stream of people. And in Martha's Vineyard, we are, superstars. Everybody's seen it and loves it.
Uh-huh. And they're all vying to get on it, I'm sure.
And they're all wanting to be on it.
I'm sure.
I've got them chomping at the bit.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, what made
Larry,
you? Was it? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Larry David wants to be on it, and Ted and Mary, and
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of.
I see that. I kind of see the why that would be, because it feels as there's a similar kind of feeling about. It feels like, even though it's obviously it's scripted.
It is scripted, yeah.
But there's a sense of spontaneity to it, or like
Yeah.
improvisation, or however you want to put it.
People think that we improvise it, but we don't
Right.
at all.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? When people
Yeah.
when something is, it's usually with comedies.
Well,
but
there's good improv and there's bad improv.
That's
and
true, right.
Larry David is the master. I mean, his show was hilarious,
Right.
and that was almost all improvised.
Right. It is not scripted, even though I guess you could call it scripted to the degree that the situations are scripted, but not
Right.
the dialogue.
Well, that's all improv. You set up a situation and then you just,
That's right.
it's genius.
Yeah.
But most improv looks like improv to me, and it just, I don't love it. So we don't do it. But
And are you're writing with Lynne, your sister?
yeah, Lynne and I have been writing it, and we basically were directing it too. We did have Susanna Styron come in and direct a couple of episodes at the end, which was great. But
Is she the
daughter of Bill Styron.
Bill
and she-
Stern? Because he was there's a
he
history
has
of that
his
family
place.
being on the
Yes,
island, right?
exactly.
Right.
So anyway, it was fabulous, and now we're trying to get it to some place that has money and has know-how in terms of social media and get it out there more, and we'll see.
So you've shot 2 seasons of,
Yeah.
of right? It's called All Downhill From Here.
Yeah.
And this is different structure-wise, because like, let's say in a movie, it's pretty obviously you have a three-act structure. In a TV show, it's a little different, because even though each you have a lot of storyline in each episode, but there's also this arc. Here, it's all arc. It seems like, because you barely have time. It's almost like each episode is almost setting something up.
Yeah.
And then it's over before you even get much
Kind
momentum
of, yeah.
going,
Well,
right?
most of them are 5 minutes. We have a
Right,
couple
yeah.
that
I've
were
seen
like
quite
15.
a few of them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very challenging to figure out how to do that. But it also gives you the opportunity to not have to do a huge arc
Right.
because, not a lot can happen in that amount of time.
And is it as important, or is it the moments that are like the thing? You know what I'm saying? Like these moments that you have.
I mean, I think if you have viewers and it's only 5 minutes long, it all is moments.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, that's what's going to, cliffhangers are great when you have these shows that everybody is streaming so fast. What are they called when you watch them all right in a row?
Binge watching.
When you're binge watching them, they have to have you just don't want to turn it off at the next one. And since they come up automatically, it's so easy.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I think we're definitely, it's about two older women who are sisters, played by us, real sisters. And it's kind of Frankie and Frankie and...
Oh, right. The Netflix series with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. Yeah.
It's kind of that, except a little grittier because it's so cheap. And also because Lynne and I are not women who are still looking like movie stars the way Lily and Jane are. And
I'm in the same room with you, and I'm going to have to disagree with you.
But you know what I'm saying. I mean, they do those false facelifts and nothing falls after those things that they did. We do that in our show.
Oh, yeah.
Where you pull on
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They did it, and when they take it off, nothing happens to their faces. Whereas when Lynne takes it off, her whole face
the gravity
falls.
thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned this, and it is something... It's an interesting thing to talk about because it helps. I think it's good for people to see that we have to get away from the fear and the taboo of aging and of just it's nuts. I mean,
it is. It's crazy. And
save your money, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
And enjoy.
I mean, I've got nothing against people doing plastic surgery or anything like that. It's just that the whole idea that you're trying to look younger is mistaken. Why not try to look older? I mean, we thought that would be a funny thing where it's where we really switch it on it, like a Twilight Zone episode or something where it's switched and everybody wishes they were old and young people are
right.
Yeah.
Or how about just even a realistic situation where, let's say, the daughter, your younger daughter who's in the show, what's her name again?
Sophie,
where she's maybe trying to, I can't remember if she's in a relationship or not with the guy.
Not.
Okay, but she can meet somebody who's older, but he's not interested in her. He wants to date somebody more mature.
Right.
And so she tries to, while you and your sister are struggling so hard to, well, especially Lynne, I guess, right? Because she's feeling bad about herself.
Yeah.
Right. But that she kind of coincidentally is trying to make herself look older. It's just an issue.
That's fun. Yeah. Thank you. I'll steal that idea. I'll give you credit.
Thank you.
I directed and wrote a short that was called Pet Peeves that had a twist at the end where it turned out that this psychiatrist that this guy had brought in for his girlfriend, who he was trying to get rid of, but you didn't know that. His girlfriend's pet, she believed that her dog needed to see a shrink. And so he brought somebody in, and the woman told the girl so much that the dog had told her about how bad the relationship was that she runs running from it, and then you find out that the psychiatrist was actually his mother, pretending to be a shrink. So, yeah. And, well, the rest is history. It's a huge hit, this Pet Peeves.
Well, shorts are hard. I mean, web series even have an easier chance now than shorts. Shorts are starting to find more places. And I read not long ago, like Netflix, for instance, was going to start putting more shorts on, which is great because people actually do a lot of subscribers to Netflix, needless to say.
That's a great idea.
But, I mean, it's really, unless you're going to festivals, where do you typically see shorts, except for maybe in a particular, like at the IFC Center and a couple of theaters here and there that show Oscar-nominated shorts. but it's very hard to watch shorts.
Yeah.
And I guess the internet is the greatest another place, but I don't know where you go. So
No,
there's no place
I don't either. I was thinking it would be my calling card.
Yeah, well, of course.
But
As
of course, it's nothing like that anyway, because calling card for what? I mean, as a writer, I don't want
Well,
to
if
direct.
you
I
wanna-
realized
okay.
the good news when I made this short was that I realized I don't really like directing. I've directed plays, and I enjoyed that more.
It's different. It's a whole
Different,
other.
totally
it's much-
different.
Is it more team? What am I trying to say?
A collaborative?
Collaborated. Yeah.
You mean with the play?
hmm It's process more. And
Yeah, and also it's just there's so much. You have to make so many decisions, and there's sort of every one of them is presented as if it's equally important, and there are a million coming at you at the time. I just find it. I don't want to have to make that many decisions all of a sudden, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, so it is helpful to do the short.
Yeah.
If you're debating whether to be.
Yeah.
Because that would be it makes sense to be another creative just opportunity for you. But
Yeah.
I like the play and the web series is plenty, you know.
Well, it's
creatively
plenty
speaking.
of it. Yeah, I'm very happy creatively speaking. I have a lot of opportunity, and
And the painting we should mention too, because
Yeah. I'll show you some others. There's no more in here,
I
but
love it.
I can
What's
show
the
you
one
others.
over here? This is
This was my
Is that
my
the-
mother's. I mean, she didn't paint it, but
Mhm.
it was in art. We grew up with it, and Lynne wrote a play called "Of Her Mother's Dead Body," in which that painting figures. We think it's worth a fortune because our mother always claimed it would. She could always sell the Schwartz, this is done by a man named Schwartz.
Okay.
So it's a play about going through the old stuff of our parents after our mother's death and trying to figure out if anything's worth anything. And then, how neurotic you become. You think maybe this little poodle soap dish is the most valuable thing here. And
Yeah.
Anyway.
Your sister Lynn, does she have as dark sense of humor as it appears?
Yes.
Is she the one with the kind of the darker sense of humor between the two?
Would
you say?
I guess so. I like to say that Lynn is sort of on the spectrum. But I think she's more of a character than I am. But she's also a complete iconoclast. She says the truth no matter what.
Mm-hmm. She has no filter.
She has no filter.
Do you?
I have so many filters.
You do.
I'm always trying to figure out, what people want from me
Yeah.
and how to please them. And yeah, I'm a people pleaser. She's a
What's your sign?
Aquarius.
Okay, I don't really know why I asked.
What's your sign?
I'm a Libra. So I'm also
Tony's a Libra.
oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm on the 24th of September. He's probably in October.
October, yeah.
But so I barely made it into the Libra. But I have this. Yeah, I like to please for sure, and I'm second guessing. I second
Yeah.
guess, and
Yeah.
find it hard to make a decision and just be or to be decisive is a better way of putting
Yeah.
it. Yeah. But,
Well, you'll see when you're doing your little
this
short.
In
that-
my case, this is really thanks. And it would be a calling card in the sense that I also have written. I'm almost finished writing a feature,
Uh-huh.
which is all women interesting.
Oh,
But
good.
I'm really not here to talk about it. But if you do you and Lynn do a third season,
Yes.
because it makes sense for you guys to do it and you're ready to do it,
Right.
maybe we can do something with both of you.
That would be fun. Yeah. Absolutely.
If it's something that appeals to you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We should do a photograph that I can put on my Facebook saying we were doing this
I agree.
podcast.
I would love that. Yeah.
Hold on, let me get my phone.
And we're just around an hour. So
Perfect. Is that good?
It's great. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to get my phone.
Let's. The only kind of thing I have to do before we do is to say I would like to end it.
Okay.
'Cause,
1 second. All right. So how should we sit so we can both be in it?
Well, we can mock podcast. We can mock like with both the mics. Is that gives
Yeah.
context?
Yeah. I think so.
With Sanders sitting in there.
We're having a huge fight.
That's right.
Well, that's good, because the light's pretty good. this
Okay.
way.
I think it's corny. Maybe we should look at the camera
Oh.
or the phone, whatever.
Oh,
What do you
okay.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to be intimate here.
How tight do you want it, like here?
Oh, I don't care.
It's
great.
I'm going to post it. We just want to look good.
Yeah.
Should we grab some?
Tight? Would you rather have it less tight?
You look great. I look like
wouldn't
shit.
have to say you look great.
Oh.
Maybe lower your mic a little bit.
Okay.
That's true. You're not going to do my bangs? No, you're
Great. That's fine.
I can't look at myself either, frankly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you look good to me.
Well, thank you. I think you look great,
All
quite
right.
frankly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Send those, though. Or
Oh,
the ones
you
you
wanted
like.
to do an end to the show.
Oh, right.
I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
I
No, that's
forgot.
right. I do. I need it just for editing.
It's a little bit less daylight and more warm light.
Sure.
I think we're fine.
Are
Don't
sure?
you?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
So let's just so we got the web series right now. People can see it. Just Google
All downhill
Google Brooke
from
Adams
here.
or Google All Downhill from Here,
Yep.
and you can watch how many? Like there's quite a few.
Oh, yeah, we have
the 2
like
seasons. You have like 20 something.
25 or something.
Uh-huh.
25 episodes.
Right, and
5
very
minutes each, except occasionally 15.
right, easy to binge.
Easy.
and then as well as the forthcoming, hopefully the play will
Yeah.
be sooner than later. That would
Delusion
be
by
great.
Proxy.
I wish you a lot of luck with
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, people will be able to relate. Maybe we can launch it right around the time of 2020 when our outgoing.
Okay. Well, that's
I
why
have
it's
a lot
going to
of
happen
expressions
soon.
for it,
because
for that.
if he leaves,
Yeah,
I'm screwed. Trump. If he leaves office,
oh, he's the best
my
thing for you.
play
So
is-
let's cross our fingers that Trump will be reelected then.
Yes,
so for
yes.
for
For
the
my-
success of your play. I don't know. I just even if I just foresee him being in the headlines for a long time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But let's hope it's all about him being in jail.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say, in his orange his pantsuit or whatever. Well, thank you, Brooke. This has
Thank
been
you,
fantastic.
Adam. This was fun.
Yeah, I had a great time talking with you. Thank you again.
Okay.
Hello?
Ms. Adams?
Yes?
Hello. How are you?
Hi, Adam.
Hi. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, it's so nice to speak to you so soon after. I was so taken with you and the whole afternoon in the snow and outside that I completely forgot that there people wrote in questions for you, and so I wanted to get to those questions and you can answer them. You don't have to take a long time. I don't want to take too much of your time.
All right, great.
Okay. So let's see. Debbie Klarick writes in, and she wrote, "Many years ago I saw Brooke Adams do the crazy thing with her eyes." We all know what that is. I think you did that. I think you did that with one of your movies.
In Invasion of the Body Snatchers, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that. Okay. The question is from Debbie, how does she do it? Can she still do it? Her eyes were twirling around in their sockets. It was bizarre and totally cool.
I can still do it. And I just, for some reason, when I was little, I used to practice doing it.
Okay.
You just start by making your eyes go around, and then at a certain point, you sort of kind of tighten the muscles in your eyes or something, and they keep going on their own. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how I figured it out or anything,
Right.
but
Do you think everybody has that capacity, or it's so unique to you? What do you think?
I have no idea.
Okay, good enough.
All right.
Good enough. We should have gotten a little video of it, but that's okay. We will. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a nice question. Okay, this one you may not want to answer. Who knows? Denny Lean, Lene, and first name Denny, Deni. Denny Lean. She writes, "Any chance we'll get to see you on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Would love to see you and Tony do a scene together."
Oh, that's so sweet of her.
Isn't it?
Or him. Yeah.
Them.
I have no idea. It's not up to me.
Okay.
That's for sure. I haven't heard that they have any interest in using me at all. So I don't know.
But you would be open to it, is the point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Are you kidding? It's the best show on TV. I'd not be open to it.
That's just your objective opinion.
That's just the objective thing, yeah.
Well, a lot of people agree with you, apparently, according to the viewership and the awards that have been pouring in. Okay.
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
you did a bunch of you were a recurring character on Monk, or were you?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
No, I wasn't. I did 4 different characters.
Oh.
Excuse me.
That's
I
how,
was just a recurring actress.
got
but
it right. Well, you're
It wasn't
good.
ever the same character. One time I did a sort of a tragic character, and then I played a crazy Sarah from the South, from Texas or something, and then I played a crazy cat lady,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was a airline stewardess. So 4 different times.
That's because the producers recognized your diverse talent.
Exactly.
Okay. Elizabeth Curry writes in, what is your secret to aging so gracefully and beautifully natural? Wow. That was meant for me. I'm sorry. No, what?
It's all the plastic surgery I've done, of course. No, what would I say? I have no idea. Actually, I think I'm in badly.
Mhm.
But I just tell her thank you. I don't have any secret to the part, but
Good
thank
genes. Good genes. Good
you.
DNA.
I guess.
Well, that wasn't really a question so much as a compliment, I think. I think that was a question,
Yeah,
just
that
a
was
compliment,
nice.
slimmly masked, disguised
Disguised
as
as a question.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so too. So just thank this person very
Well,
much.
you can, but they're probably listening. I'm sure they're listening. All right, this is not something I typically do, but I'm glad I did. I'm going to start to do this now. I'm going to start to let people know ahead of time so they can ask questions. Okay, this is a man. He goes by MB. I think this was on Twitter, and he wrote, "Oh, please ask her anything about Lace and Lace 2. Were they fun shoots? Was she surprised by Lace's major success and its everlasting effect? A classic in the miniseries era, I must say."
It was a lot of fun to do. We got to travel all over the place. They paid us tons of money, and it was fantastic. I loved doing it. What was the second part of it?
Oh, that was the whole question. I guess, if producers are listening, Lace 3, you'd be open to doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I just want to, and that was on
Hi,
Facebook.
Debbie.
And
All right.
And Jordan Davis, also on Facebook. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. Jordan is a new gender neutral name now.
There, right.
Right. Or it could be, it's right, there's a whole gender spectrum now too. So there's
That's right.
and there's a cat as the graphic, so I can't. All right, question for Brooke. This is the last one. What movie role was the most challenging for you and why? That's a tough one.
Wow.
Or you can fake it.
What?
You can fake it. I'm just kidding.
I will say just so I can plug in it.
What's
The
that?
movie I'll say this because then I can plug it. The
Okay.
movie that my sister wrote and that Tony directed and that I'm in and that we that's on Facebook right now. I heard somebody put it on. Anyway, it's called Made Up.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the most fun and challenging.
Do you mean YouTube?
Am I on YouTube?
No, I mean I thought you said that people can see the movie.
It's like my guy who does my Facebook for me. Don't admit that I do that, but he put it on. So I guess it's on Facebook, on YouTube, probably. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he put the link or something on there. Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. And that what was it called again? I remember seeing Made Up.
Made Up.
Made Up, and that was directed.
Yeah.
So you had a very sounds like prima donna director and writer, and so that must have been very challenging.
It was impossible to work with these people.
Yeah. Well, thank God.
Tony almost fired me, and I couldn't say these terrible words that Lynne wrote. But I'm kidding, of course.
I know. Well, thank you for taking the questions and for.
Sure.
I really was. I guess I was just so excited, having such a great time. I completely forgot that I brought these questions. That's why.
So sweet. Thank you, Adam. I had a good time too.
And I'm quite serious. When you and Lynne are ready together to come on as a pair, we can do another if you're open to it.
Okay.
You know.
Definitely. If we get picked up by the people that were hoping are going to pick up the show, we're going to definitely be doing many of your shows about it.
Right. Well, then I'll be like just another one in the crowd. I'll take it though. I'll still take it. I'll do it. I'll take what I'll take what I can get. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.